Very good evening, everyone. அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். வழக்கம் போல தமிழ்நாடு யங் திங்கர்ஸ் ஃபோரம், தமிழ்நாடு இளம் சிந்தனையாளர்கள் பேரவை இன்னைக்கு ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சி வச்சிருக்காங்க. So today's event is primarily going to be on a subject, Project Sambandh. It's about giving a helping hand to Indian Army's casualties. Today's subject is going to be something that's very close to the heart of Colonel Vembu Shankar, our panelist for the day. I will give you a very brief introduction because if I start describing him, I think I'll take the entire session. One, as a person, someone who's very compassionate, who's very soft and very helpful. And the journalists recently, Kirti and Deepa Alexander, had something to say about him, very nice. So we discussed this project, Sambandh, with them. And one of them had a college friend who originally joined the Indian Army and lost a life to an accident completely unrelated to the services. And Colonel Vembu Shankar was able to recollect who the person was, gather the information, and give it to the journalist right away. Kirti and Deepa were completely astonished. And he's a man who's taken it as a mission to be able to reach such people who we have forgotten, provide them the necessary support. And giving him a very short background, so Colonel Vembu Shankar, having joined the Indian Army, is a product of the National Defense Academy and the Indian Military Academy. He was commissioned in the year 1997 and is a Shaurya Chakra recipient for the highest peacetime gallantry award for his gallantry act in Jammu and Kashmir. And something that not a lot of us do know, he has compiled the first English-Hindi Zonka dictionary, and he is known as an expert in India-Bhutan relations. So I understand there's a lot more to describe about you, including your quizzing abilities and your support for the BBC Mastermind and the Kaun Banega Crorepati. But I won't take too much of our time today, and I will leave you to give us a brief background on your work and your interest in Project Sambandh. So over to you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure for me to be interacting with people who are listening to me or watching me across India, especially across Tamil Nadu. Thank you very much for the introduction. So without wasting any time, let me give you a brief background on why I took up Project Sambandh and what is the background, what led me to Project Sambandh. As a young 10-year-old, I was a Boy Scout. I don't know how many of you have been in the Boy Scouts and Guides movement. I was a Boy Scout. I was studying in a school in Mylapore in Chennai. And the motto of the Boy Scouts is be prepared. That's the motto of the Boy Scouts, be prepared. And they also tell you to do a good turn every day. This is what I was groomed right from the age of 10, 11 when I joined the Boy Scouts and Guides movement, and I eventually became a Rashtrapati Scout. And this was day in and day out. I was told that one has to be prepared for all contingencies and do a good turn. So from a Boy Scout at the age of 10 or 11, when I started wearing uniform, I got inspired to be wearing a uniform. And that's the reason why I joined this academy, which is at the National Defense Academy at Kadakwasla, where I went in as a 17-year-old boy. And the motto at the National Defense Academy at Kadakwasla, which is close to Pune, is service before self. Every day, we used to tell a prayer before we began the day's classes and the training, that we shall do our best to do service before self to everyone. So this is the background that I went in as a 17-year-old boy at the National Defense Academy and came out as a you could say a man after all the training. The greatest thing that I learned there was camaraderie and, of course, this great motto of service before self. So 3 years at National Defense Academy, and since I was an Army cadet, I moved on to the Indian Military Academy, where the credo of the Indian Military Academy was the safety, honor, and welfare of your country comes first, always and every time. The honor, welfare, and the comfort of the men you command come next. Your own ease, comfort, and safety come last, always and every time. So this was again drilled in every day for us. This was written in the Checkwood Hall in the Indian Military Academy. And we were told that you have to look after the men that you command. Your own ease, comfort comes last, So again, this was the environment that I was trained at. at the Indian Military Academy at Dehradun, where I got commissioned into the Indian Army in 1997, and I moved to the hotbed of where all the action was taking place, which was in 1998 in Kashmir, where I, with just about a year of service, had gone to this location in Kashmir, which is, this particular place is in North Kashmir in a district called Kupwara. I'm sure you'd have heard about it in various news articles that you keep reading every day. So this was where I was posted as a young lieutenant. I got commissioned as a second lieutenant. I went in here as a lieutenant. And on the 3rd of July, we were involved in an operation where we had got some information that some militants and terrorists have crossed over from across the line of control and come into our territory. And we were asked to intercept them, lay an ambush, and see if we can eliminate them. And that's what happened. On the 3rd of July, we got an opportunity where we eliminated those militants who had come. And I credit that because of the training that I went through at the National Defense Academy and the Indian Military Academy, where we were taught that the more you sweat in peace, the less we bleed in war. So this is what was ingrained into me right at the National Defense Academy and the Indian Military Academy, because of which the operation that we undertook on the 3rd of July 1998, we eliminated about 11 militants, and my own group had eliminated about 6 of them. But the greatest achievement of that particular operation was we didn't have a single scratch in any of my boys. And in fact, the 20 years that I served in the armed forces, I didn't have a single scratch in any of the people that I commanded. So I was awarded the Shaurya Chakra, which incidentally is not the highest peacetime gallantry award. The highest peacetime gallantry award is the Ashok Chakra. Shaurya Chakra is the 3rd highest, which is the equivalent of the Veer Chakra in wartime. So I was awarded the Shaurya Chakra. So when people say, oh, that is a great honor, I say this honor is only for the people, I dedicated to the troops who were with me, and also because I considered it that because I didn't have a single casualty, I think this is a great recognition for that particular act, more than the gallantry act that was done. So this was my armed forces career, but I also have certain other interests, like he had mentioned. I try and meet celebrities and take their autographs. I've been collecting autographs for about 30 years. So I'm sure you recognize these 2 celebrities on the screen. I'm sure you recognize Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan. I'm not talking about the other, the same celebrity who's there in both the pictures. That's Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan. And similarly, I met many more celebrities and learned a lot from them. This is Mukesh Ambani and Neeta Ambani, the god of cricket, Sachin Tendulkar. I've also been fortunate to meet the football legend Pele, as well as Messi in Calcutta. And of course, one of the meetings that I met was of this man, Lieutenant Colonel MS Dhoni. When I met him, he was just MS Dhoni. And he had a lot of impact into what I'm doing now, and as well as how I lead my life. MS Dhoni has been a great influence in my life, and I'm sure this is going to be, most of them are going to be Tamil Nadu viewers and listeners. Tala has been a great influence on me, the way he approaches life and the way he leads his men. So I was being fortunate. I've been friends with him for about 10 odd years now, and I was fortunate even to be with him when India won the World Cup. And this was a very prestigious moment and a very precious moment for me, where I could meet MS Dhoni right after him winning the World Cup. And an amazing lesson I learned right after this meeting. This was a very special meeting. India had won the World Cup. I had gone and met him in his room and congratulated him. And we stayed up the whole night. We saw him shave off his head. We took pictures and things like that. Early morning on the 3rd of April 2011, I took this picture which you see on the left, where I'm holding the medal that MS Dhoni has got. And sure enough, at about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, I put up this picture so that my friends could see it. I actually had sent it only on email, but somehow there was a news channel which had picked up this picture and carried a news story saying that this was an exclusive picture. And I was getting calls from all my friends across saying that, oh, that's a nice picture, I'm seeing you all on TV. And I was feeling very embarrassed because this was a very private moment. I'd taken a picture, and the news channel claimed that it was an exclusive picture, and I was feeling very sad that this is something which is like a breach of trust. And unfortunately, I couldn't apologize to MS Dhoni because he was very busy that day because of photo shoots and things like that. But we had already coordinated that we're going to be taking the flight together. He was going to Delhi and I was coming back to Chennai. And when I met MS Dhoni in the evening, I said to MS, I'm really sorry. This has happened. There's the picture that we took yesterday or this morning has been splashed across all TV channels. And because this is the first picture of him being bald, this is much before any news channel got the picture. And I had said to MS, I'm really sorry because this is something which is a breach of trust. And so MS asked me, what's happened? I said, this has come in a news channel and, people are saying that it's exclusive pictures. He said, which news channel? I said, I named the news channel, which was India TV. He said, Aap India TV kyun dekhte ho, sir? India TV dekhna aapke haath mein hai na? He said, the remote is in your hand. Whether you want to watch India TV and get perturbed about the whole situation. He says, I am the most affected. I have not seen India TV, so I am not affected. And here I was, who learned a great lesson by just one interaction with this man, which helped me what I'm doing now. And here is a man who is calm under all circumstances. You see this picture where you can see all the CSK members are celebrating. I think they won the semi-finals, and the captain is coolly clapping his hands. You can see even former captains like Hussey, Harbhajan, Stephen Fleming. These are all international captains. And here is a man, Shane Watson, but here is a man who's not perturbed with the situation because he believes in something which is control the controllables. And this is a great life lesson that I learned from him. Started off my journey as a Boy Scout where I was told that do your good turn every day, be prepared for situations. Then I went to the National Defense Academy where day in and day out I was told that do service before self, and then to the Indian Military Academy where I was told that, look after the troops that you command. And then, of course, the Armed Forces career, which taught me that training is more important. So the more you train, it'll be easier when the actual situation comes. With that background, I had served in the Indian Army for about 20 years. When I was serving and I was commanding my unit in Bagdogra, I was commanding a field unit in Bagdogra, I realized, because I used to, every second or third day, I realized there was some Indian Army personnel who was dying because of non-operational circumstances. And since I was next to an airport, I used to help the family load the body and then help them with the formalities and things like that. And when I started doing a little bit of research, I realized that there is a huge disconnect when we need to extend any welfare activities or connect with these families after a period of time. Right after the Indian Army personnel dies, there is a little connect with the organization as well as with the society. But after a couple of years, they are forgotten. And this actually really influenced my decision on why I took premature retirement. I retired from the Army after 20 years in 2017 to embark on a project. This is the project which is called Project Sambandh, and the pictures that you see are also my influence and my inspiration. These are the pictures of my course mates. The people who have trained with me, I've lost about 28 of them over the last about 24 years of my commissioned service. And I embarked on this project where I wanted to, it was just a one-man philanthropic project to connect with the next of kin of the physical casualties of the Indian Army. So let me explain to you who are physical casualties. The Indian Army has got two types of casualties. People know about the operational casualties, people who die while doing any operations. But then there are also Indian Army personnel who died because of non-operational circumstances. And the four main reasons of non-operational circumstances, like the one that was given as an example at the beginning of the talk, was accidents. That lady officer, the woman officer, died because of a road accident in Mount. And so the four reasons are medical condition. It could be because of cancer, hypertension, hepatitis, or maybe because of COVID. Accidents, it could be road accidents, lightning, electrocution, snake biting, falling into a well, and things like that. It could be suicide. In fact, today we have had a very unfortunate news of the Bollywood actor Sushant Singh Rajput committing suicide. That's what has been told in the media. We don't know yet. But yeah, we also have suicide in the army, and people are actually shocked when they say, "Oh, how come such a close-knit organization like the armed forces got suicide?" But yes, that's the stark reality, that we do have suicides, and these are the non-operational casualties. And of course, the fourth one is fratricide, where one Jawan fires and kills, or kills the other Jawan, or an officer kills a Jawan, or a Jawan kills an officer. So these are the four conditions because of which Indian Army personnel lose their lives. And these are non-operational conditions, which are medical conditions, accidents, suicide, and fratricide. And you'll be shocked to know that Indian Army loses about 1,200 to about 1,400 such personnel because of physical casualties, whereas we just lose about 70 to 80 because of operational circumstances. So this is a large number. And so for every 1,200 to 1,500, there are 3,000 to 4,500 next of kin. Next of kin is the family. If the Indian Army person was married and had children, then there would be, his wife, his children, his parents. If he was single, then he would have aged parents. These are the people who are most affected. As much as the sacrifice of the Indian Army personnel, the next of kin or the family of the Indian Army personnel also suffer a lot, and they make huge sacrifices. In my case, I think my parents, my immediate family members have made so much sacrifice while I was serving in the armed forces, because for every armed forces personnel who is serving in the front or in the border area, there is a family which is making 4 or 5 times more sacrifice, because the mother has to rear the children with minimal support, because the armed forces personnel is serving the country right at the border or any other operational circumstances. And then you have aged parents who won't have the support of their son or daughter to help them out in their old age. So the next of kin are the most affected. So there are 1,200 Indian Army personnel who die. So there are about 4,500 to 5,000 families which are affected, or persons who are affected. And what typically happens is people question me, and how is it possible? The Indian Army is a very close-knit organization. They take care of themselves. It's very true. It's very true that, yes, we are known for our camaraderie. We are known to be part of a family. But unfortunately, when the physical casualties happen because of many social reasons and economical reasons and emotional reasons, the connect between the next of kin and the armed forces is lost after a certain point of time. When the incident is fresh, I'm sure even in Sushant Singh Rajput's case, I'm sure people are going to be discussing about the suicide, the cause, and how people were not, reaching out to him, or how he didn't reach out. And after about 6 months, people are going to forget, and they're going to be the new case, and people are going to move on. Similarly, things happen with the Indian Armed Forces personnel, and when they die because of non-operational circumstances, the next of kin, slowly the connect is lost. And how are they affected? They're affected in 3 major ways. They're affected financially, because they get very less pension. So they have to now take care of education of children. Then they also have the relatives and sudden friends and relatives who drop in because of the corpus of money that they get when the man dies. Financially, they are hugely affected, because somebody who's dying because of physical casualties, the next of kin gets a pension ranging from 10,000 10,000 rupees to about 24,000 rupees. When they were in the army, at least roti, kapra, and makan were looked after. The three basic needs of roti and makan is straight away taken off. And, even education was taken care when the man was serving, or the Indian Army personnel was serving. So a huge dent in the financial aspect happens when the man dies. And then, of course, you have the emotional aspect. This is ongoing and continuous, where there's a lot of worry, what will happen to the future. There's panic because most of them are not aware of the procedures and the bureaucracy which is involved, a lot of paperwork which needs to be filled. And the widow or the parents always keep blaming themselves that, or keep telling themselves that they are the victims. Why me? This syndrome happens, And a social issue is, the woman feels solitary, because what typically happens is the widow typically goes to the in-laws' place, who are generally in the villages. And after about a couple of years, because of educational reasons for the children, or maybe because of some social reasons, actually, there are a lot of social reasons where there is a lot of discrimination or a lot of oppression which goes on against these widows by the sometimes by the family members, sometimes by the villagers, sometimes by their own relatives. And then the stigma of being a widow in India is huge. And then they also miss out on the regimented life of the Indian Armed Forces. So these are the three major effects that happen to the next of kin, which is social, financial, and emotional. And so I embarked on this project where I said, okay, let me embark on this as a one-man project. And people ask me why I'm doing it as one man, why not have an NGO or, have a team and things like that. I said, it's possible if you have the correct aim, and if you have the right skills in technology, and you have the right social networking skills. I was able to achieve in the last about 3 years, where I've been able to reach out to about 27,000 such families, and as well in about 635 districts across India. But since this is a Tamil Nadu youth organization which I am addressing today, which is majority of them, I will talk to you about Tamil Nadu, where we've got a great tradition of Indian Armed Forces people coming in from Tamil Nadu. So in the last about 20 years, we've got about 13,000 plus next of kin, Indian Army personnel have died. And I've reached out to these next of kin, and they're spread out over all the 38 districts. Some of the districts that you see here are the old names, or the districts have got realigned and reassigned. But yes, we've got about 13,000 plus Indian Army personnel who died because of physical casualties. So typically what do is I collect the data. I've been traveling. I travel about 10 to 15 days in a month, where I spend my a part of my pension. I spend about, I've kept a limit of about 1/3 of my amount of my pension. I travel across India, meet these widows. I update the data, use technology to connect before I go there, and then address the Indian Army formations and the units there to reach out, sometimes reach out to the welfare organizations, because we need to address the three needs, which is financial, social, and emotional. And the easiest one is the financial one, because people are more than willing to open their purses and give the money, but that doesn't solve the problem. There's also a problem of social and emotional. So to talk to the widows is always a challenge. So I've been traveling across India, and pre-COVID, I was doing about 10 to 15 days a month, traveling across India, the length and breadth of the country, and meeting these widows and finding out what exactly their problems were. And over the last about 2.5 years, I've realized that most of them across India have the same set of problems. The most important one being that they are forgotten. They feel that they have been forgotten by the organization, they have been forgotten by the society, and for the great work that their spouses, husbands, or wives have done to the country by serving the country in most difficult circumstances, the people have forgotten their family, because they were part of a family and they were part of a close-knit group. And just because the Indian Army person has died, the next of kin are forgotten. So this is the same problem that across India that I find, and I try and address them by connecting them with the Indian Army units, as well as try and make some support groups for them. And I have got many stories, some success stories. This was in a place called Sundarbani, which is in Jammu and Kashmir, where I had gone to meet these next of kin, the widows and the parents of these Indian Army personnel who died in non-operational circumstances while in service. And one of the widows that I met was this lady here, along with her daughter. This lady had lost her husband with just 2 years into the marriage, and they already had a girl child who was born, and the man died. He had some medical condition and he died. He belonged to this place in Sundarbani. This is not to be confused with Sundarbans, where the tigers are. Sundarbani is a small place in Jammu and Kashmir. I don't know if you've been there. It's a beautiful place, Sundarbani. I'm sure you've read about that in many news articles, a lot of firing and cross-border firing that happens there. So I met this lady, and when I met her and I asked her, has she claimed all the benefits that has been extended, because many of them are not aware of the benefits that is due to them, and she had not claimed any of them. So when I spoke to this young girl you see in the middle, her name is Niharika, and I asked her, Niharika, so which class are you in and what do you want to do? And Niharika was very confident, and she said, Uncle, I'm in the 9th standard and I want to be a cardiologist. And this is the kind of confidence that I saw in this young girl. And this is the same situation everywhere, you know. Initially, when I meet these widows, the first 5 or 10 minutes is I get abuses in that language of that land, because they think I'm the official rep, and they think, where was I all these years? And then the lady starts crying. She talks about her situation and how difficult she is. And that's when the children come in and say, Uncle, abhi batao kya karna hai? What do we should do now, you know? What is the way ahead? And that's when I tell them that, you know, these are some schemes that you can claim, you can take advantage of. The government does a lot, but unfortunately, because of lack of awareness. So similarly, Niharika was very bright. You can see from the picture itself, she's like really cheerful. And I met her and I said, okay, you want to be a cardiologist? I mean, she was really confident. And I've raised this into my social networks, shared it with my friends. A lot of well-wishers contributed money. Somebody said, okay, we will sponsor a medical tuition education, because it's not going to be easy sitting in Sundarbani to prepare for the NEET exams, you know. So people said, okay, we will help her out. Somebody wanted to be a mentor. Somebody gave financial support. Somebody presented a laptop. And so, and then she went to 10th standard. And, you know, when I shared this initially in my social networks, I got a huge response, and a lot of people contributed. And I see some people here in the viewers list here today who have supported this particular girl as well as other girls. Thank you very much, people who are listening, people who have supported earlier. So this girl in a 10th standard got 484 out of 500. I mean, in this kind of circumstances, the small village in Sundarbani with no father, mother being a single mom, and look at the kind of motivation and positiveness that this girl has. 484 out of 500. So we knew that she's got the potential. So because of the well-wishers, she's now moved to Jammu, which is a little bigger city, and there she's staying in a hostel and trying to study for a medical entrance exam. So each of these connects that I make, which is Sambandh, is a story by itself. And so what I try and tell people is, you will have to meet them. Then only you'll come to know what stories that they have, what is their background story. And similarly, this is very close to our state. This is in Chennai. I met this lady. It's very difficult to meet widows very difficult. It's they have their own emotional issues. So what I try and do is I try and sometimes take some friends of mine along. So in this picture on the left, you can see I've taken some friends along. I call them Sambandh Sahelis and Sambandh Sahayaks, because a woman can open up to another woman much easier. We'll have to learn all this. This all comes through my years of experience of social engineering and learning by my various hobbies, as well as my my career in the armed forces. So I had taken along these women, and we saw this lady was conducting an art class in her house. So when we asked her why, what is this, and she said, "Oh, with the pension, it's impossible for me to survive. I've got 2 children, and I'm staying in Chennai, where the rental is very high, and so I take supplement. I mean, I take art classes and craft classes for the neighborhood kids." And she was pretty good at it, So one of the ladies, the lady from the left, the third lady who's standing next to the kid, she said, "Oh, she's very good. I can ask my daughter, who's a top makeup artist, and she teaches makeup, and I can maybe request her if she can train this lady." And sure enough, she asked her daughter, and the daughter gave her gratis. I mean, she charges about $1.5 lakh for the classes and for all the materials and things like that. But she volunteered and provided an opportunity for this lady. And as you can see in the picture, she learned this, she went through this course or cadre, and then she graduated from there. And now she's able to earn a livelihood by being a makeup assistant, and she goes for these bridal makeups and things like that. More than the money, her confidence level has increased, and it's given a great opportunity. She interacts with the different parts of the society. So this is what I'm trying to say, that it's not about just making a check and giving it to a widow or to the next of kin. It is by establishing Sambandh. The same lady, if I had spoken to her on telephone and found out that she had not filled up a form, and then maybe send the form on WhatsApp, I wouldn't have known that she is good in art, and maybe would have provided an opportunity like this. And today she advises other widows that how one can be independent, financially independent. It also gives them a way to keep their mind occupied and make them more confident, because you cannot put back things. So this is again something that I learned, which is control the controllables. What's happened has happened. So what is in your control you can do, which is being positive, having a positive outlook. Try and see how we can be financially independent, how we can be emotionally independent. So I've got many stories like this. I've traveled across India. This is in Assam, where this lady had lost her husband about 8-9 years ago. So I'm trying to tell her that she can be a focal point for the widows who have lost their husbands recently, because she's gone through the whole process, so she will know. And this is in Himachal Pradesh. Most of them are not aware. This lady lost her husband. She had 3 daughters. The youngest daughter, she goes to college. She has to travel 2 kilometers by foot, take a bus, go to the college, come back before it becomes dark, before last light, because they're the only 2 women who are living alone. And it's very difficult going to a village and meeting these people, because many of them are suspicious. What is your aim, and what is your agenda? So like this gentleman, I had taken somebody from the village along to explain to them, because I'm suddenly dropping into their places and trying to tell them that I've come here. Actually, you can see in the picture, you can see the husband's picture in the showcase, which is at the backdrop of the picture. So I try to fill up the forms and make sure the Indian Army actually offers scholarships for these children's education, and many of them not aware. The scholarship ranges from 10,000 rupees to about 50,000 rupees. They give a laptop for people who are into graduation. I can share these details of what are the scholarships on the comment section. You can always have a look at it in the Facebook page that you're seeing live. And there are many more stories. This is a lady in Dehradun, and on the right is this lady who's in Assam, where I'd met them, and nobody had got to meet them for so many years. And when I met them, they had stories. In fact, this lady on the right, she's an entrepreneur herself, not educated, but no, she has a momo stall right outside the army cantonment, and it's okay. She's doing some kind of business, but standing on her own, and she's got a daughter to support, and the daughter is sharp. So all happens because of Sambandh. All happens because of the connect. And that's what I've learned in this 2.5 years that I've spent meeting these widows and trying to connect with them. And I also address the Indian Army personnel, their units. I also address civil organizations like I'm addressing you now. That awareness is important, because in your town, in your city, in your village, in your relative, there might be someone who's like this. That is the Indian Army personnel who have died while in service because of non-operational circumstances. And then you might not be aware that what all is due to them, or what are the welfare activities that they can be part of. And like the picture on the right, I try and form support groups where I go, where I get together all the widows of that location and say that you should have a support group and support each other. And that's the way that we have to move forward. So people who are listening to me, this is something that you can do, that if you have someone that you know in your village, in your city, or some friends of yours that whose a father or sometimes a mother has died while in service because of non-operational circumstances, reach out to Project Sambandh and I will tell you how to get connected. So what can you do? So these are the 4 things that I thought I should share with you as young listeners. I see some old young listeners too in the chat window. Great to see all of you here and listening to this talk on Project Sambandh, which is an initiative that I've taken to connect with the next of kin of the Indian Army personnel who died while in service because of non-operational circumstances. So what can you do is the question. Yes, you've listened to the talk, and what you can do, you can start by being a volunteer. Like I mentioned, you can be a volunteer. You can help out in reaching out to these next of kin. I've got a database, and if I find that, yes, you will be able to convey or you'll be able to reach out to these widows. It's not easy. It's not easy reaching out to a widow. It's not easy by just calling up and saying that, hello, I'm so-and-so. They'll be suspicious. They're as it is very angry that nobody's reached out to them. And suddenly if you give them a call, it's going to be difficult. Sometimes you can help out by verifying addresses. Sometimes you can help out by filling up the forms for them. So you can be an outreach volunteer. If you're across Tamil Nadu, then we've got about 14,000 cases, and about 14,000 cases, and then we've got about 27,000 cases across India. I'm sorry, not 14,000, it's about 1,400 in the last 20 years. So that's the people that you can reach out to. And then spread awareness. Share this link with your friends. Share it with people that you know. Share it with some welfare organizations. Share it with non-governmental organization which supports people on education, for entrepreneurship, people who help out these women. You can spread awareness. Share this talk. Talk about how to reach out to these people. You can support by doing some financial contribution. You can be, if you are a trained psychologist or a psychiatrist, you can help out. Or if you're from the same village, then you can reach out to these women. So you can provide financial, social, and emotional assistance to these next of kin. Or if they're elderly parents of these Indian Army personnel who have died, you can help them out with, especially during this time of lockdown and COVID, you can be of great help. Even a telephone call will be a soothing thing. And more important than all these things are, which is what next of kin across India say, that, please, these are people who have actually sacrificed a lot. Salute their sacrifice. Recognize that, yes, your husband did a service to the country, but more than that, we recognize the sacrifice that you have undergone, and we are there for you, and that's how we can build this in the community, in the society, that yes, in the Indian Army, if you join the armed forces, if something untoward happens, the armed forces will look after you, and the society will look after you because your husband or your mother or your spouse was serving the country. So this is something that you can, I thought of these 4 things that you can do, which is basically volunteering in your area, your college. You might find someone whom you know. I have met people who have told me, oh, I know this person, the reason so and so. They immediately connect, and and then we're able to extend welfare measures for them and spread awareness. I will share my email address, my website, and then you can connect with me, and then you can spread the awareness. And then financial, social, or emotional assistance. Financial, I'm not talking about crores of rupees and things like that. A small contribution directly, because I'm not having an NGO, so directly your contribution will go to the child's education. And I always tell people that make a small contribution, but make a regular contribution, so that you can support these children. And these children actually require support, because otherwise one more generation is going to be affected because of the death of one Indian Army personnel. And finally, salute the sacrifice. So this is something that you can do. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a curated question answers. So somebody of these admins who are listening can curate the questions. We've got about 15-20 minutes of question answers. You can ask me questions about my the project Sambandh, the learnings, or how you can assist, or if you know of a particular case, then you can share your stories. And of course, I will take a couple of questions on MS Dhoni and the Indian Armed Forces too. All right.
Hello, sir. So we have a question right away from Mr. Rajaram Muthukrishnan. He's a technology entrepreneur who's run a few successful enterprises. And his question is, how can technology companies help in your effort reaching the next of kin?
Oh, absolutely brilliant question, and I can't be a better person than him asking me this question, because he's been a great supporter of the project. Oh yes, technology is of a great assistance, and I've used technology. Because of technology is why I'm being able to reach out to so many of the next of kin. Technology in the sense of providing solutions to connect to these people, providing solutions for the next of kin to centrally connect to a particular, because they're all afraid. Suddenly somebody's calling them up. They're afraid of various numbers coming in. So that's one place where I've used technology. Courtesy, we have got a system where I call up. They can call up a central number, and that's how they can reach out and explain their problems to me. And then technology can be used in connecting and filling up the forms, and getting to the particular village. I've used Google Maps everywhere to reach a particular village, because the addresses, unfortunately, I can share this with you. Typically what happens is, when the man dies, the address which is there with the armed forces authorities is the address of generally the in-laws, the parents of the person. And this is in a village, district, tehsil, state. It doesn't have a door number 3x4, street number 2, and things like that. It's not a very specific address. And then, like I mentioned, after a couple of years, these widows move out of that address and go to a smaller town, or maybe come to a city like Chennai, and then there's no connect. And then to trace out the address, one requires technology. So yes, technology companies can definitely help by providing solutions where the next of kin can connect to Project Sambandh and to the armed forces, and similarly the reverse of the armed forces people connecting, as well as database management. I am doing it all alone. I'm just doing it all alone by having an Excel sheet, then pulling it out through support of my friends. But yes, if better technology solutions, then we can save time, and that's the only thing that is non-negotiable, which is time. And 24 hours is something that one cannot extend. So I can save time. If I can save time, then I can reach out to one more family. So if that answers your question, thank you very much, sir, for all your support. Mr. Rajaraman, he's been a great support, and I can see some more familiar names. And yeah, technology has helped me in this project, and it will help more if better solutions can come through.
And one of our own members, Pratik Kanodia, has a question. his question primarily has to do with how Project Sambandh works on a very elementary level. So he asks, how is Sambandh completely donation driven? How do you manage finances? How do you manage time?
Okay, great. So I retired only for this. I retired only to answer this call. Okay. So money, I spend my own money. That's the reason it's philanthropic. So I spend my own money. So the three major expenses that I have is food, travel, and stay. So I have to travel across India. So that's the killer. Food, whether I have it in Chennai or whether I have it in Sundarbani, it might be a little expensive there. So that's something that is another aspect. And then staying is another killer. But I try and stay with my coastmates, with some armed forces guest houses, and try and reduce my the costs. As far as support for the next of kin, like I told you, financial is just one part of it. And in financial also, the army and the government have many schemes which the next of kin have not claimed, because they're not aware. So financially, they can get support from there. And there have been well-wishers because of awareness. When I come up with a particular case, like Niharika's case, for example, that 10,000 which the army is going to give is not going to help her, because 10,000 a year, that's not going to help her in today's competitive world to crack the medical exam. So we'll have to support. Some people donated a laptop. Somebody is sponsoring a medical education. We have a case in Chennai where somebody donated another laptop for another kid, and there's a kid who's good in shooting. So Gagan Narangan helped out, the Olympic bronze medalist, and helped out with some coaches and things like that. So at the basic level, I spend my own money, and I've got an advantage. I'm single, so I've got very less family commitments. So I spend my own money. That's because the moment I start an NGO and I start asking money for running this whole project, then my focus will go away. And time, I retired only for this. I'm doing nothing commercial. I'm not employed anywhere. I live on pension, and I dedicate all my time and efforts, whatever I can, to the project.
So your efforts and work is very much appreciated. I think words can't thank you. There's not enough words to thank you there. I'll move to the next question. So we have Senior Advocate Shankar Narayanan, the trustee of Marathal Tagumo. He asked the question, how can he, through the advocates body and through some of his juniors, help the cause?
They can be a huge boon, Mr. Shankaran. Thank you very much, first of all, reaching out. You yourself are doing a great job, as the Tamil word says. How can we forget them? That's the whole cause, the advocates can play a huge role. Typically, what happens is because of loopholes and because of wrong notifications, many of these widows face the wrong side of the government because they're not aware of their pensions and things like that. They fight a battle against the government, saying that, my husband should have been categorized as somebody whose death should be attributable to service. Even in physical casualties, let's say he died while driving a motorcycle, going from the unit location to another location, and he died, and the army the government can categorize it. No, he was just going after finishing his duty, but and so they get a less pension, and unfortunately, most of them are not aware. And when they go and take the legal route, then the costs for litigation is pretty high. And maybe advocates can give advice. Legal advice is one thing that one can give out. And also maybe do some pro bono work for these people. Every day there are cases of people who have been on the wrong side because of, people are not bothered, if I could say. I was in the government, I should not say that. And you can help out. Thank you very much for extending your services. Like this is what every person can help in some way or the other. Yes, if there is any particular case, I'll reach out to you. Thank you very much.
So Shankar Narayan immediately says, we have already constituted a team, and we had made a promise on earlier occasion to support different causes for ex-servicemen, and he says they will continue to extend such support on all causes that you direct towards us.
you very much. I saw a question of some LPG cylinder or something. I saw that.
Yes. So we have a question from Mr. L. Venkatraman. He says the government comes out with a lot of policies and concessions, particularly for war widows with regards to LPGs, distributorship petrol pumps. So there are two parts I would like to put in that question. One, can those benefits also be extended to next of kin? And second, he also talks about how in some cases they are misutilized after a few years. There are some businessmen, local politicians who play havoc in the entire system. How do we come out of that problem?
Okay, so I'm going to address it. Yes, everything is done for the war widows because the husband has died in operational circumstances. Their education for children is free. They get 100% pension. They get facilities like this, LPG cylinder. Sometimes they get a government job. And sure enough, they deserve it because the husband has died in operational circumstances. But unfortunately, the government has given very little to these next of kin. Similar case, let's say in railways or any other government agency, the wife might have got a compassionate grounds job in the same organization. But unfortunately, the army, we're not able to give a job to the wife. We don't have so many avenues where ladies can be employed in the armed forces. Whereas in the railways or any other government, they just say died in harness and they're able to give a job, which is a very, very huge thing. And they don't categorize as operational because most of them are non-operational in most of the other government agencies. Whereas in the army, particular people like this, yes, the government can do it, but that's the reason why I brought out Lieutenant Colonel M.S. Dhoni. Control the controllables. It's beyond my control. I can only reach out to the widows. I can say that, yes, I will connect you and try and provide whatever support I can, whether it's emotional, physical, emotional, social, or financial. But yes, we need to build policies for that. More awareness. People will be aware. If you know your local MP, know your local MLA, tell him that, why make a distinction between non-operational casualties and operational casualties? Yes, you may not be given everything, but you can give that. The second part of the question that you said that, local businessmen and things happen. Again, I go back to control the controllables. Again, it's well beyond my control. But what can you do? Yes, you can do right an RTI, find out if their services are not good, then complain about it. There are enough channels because this is the government which is given to them. And so that's what you can do. And let's see what we can do rather than trying to blame the system and, try and change major things. Let's see what we can do. Like I said, in the Boy Scouts, I was told, do a good turn every day. So let's see how we can do what we can today and now, rather than, taking 10 years policy or changing, in 1962, we lost a war with China, or this is what happened pre-independence and things like that, or different governments and things like that. Let's see what we can do. That's what I believe in. I am doing what I can do and what I well within my means, and every day I control the controllables.
So just after your response, Mr. Venkatraman has promised to extend all support through his family to not just war widows, but also to the next of kin.
Please, because the war widows, they definitely require support, but non-financial support. Maybe the parents of the deceased soldier, of people who died in operations require financial support, but financially they are much better off. I must say that financial support is definitely required for the non-operational circumstance. So if you got 1,000 rupees, please give it to the. I know it's not glamorous. I mean, in your organization, you can't say, "Oh, this man died in Kargil, or he died in Siachen, he died, drinking, or he died in suicide." It's not glamorous, but that 1,000 rupees is actually useful for the kids' education more than the 1,000 rupees, which is over and above the 1 crore they've already got.
Yes. So we have a question from an exponent on education in the South, Nanda Kumar, sir. So his question is, generally when personnel from the army passes away, could there be an organized system in which the forces hand over a complete care package that contains information with regards to the privileges, the loans, the schemes, and other benefits that can be kept track of? Yeah.
They do that. They do that. Brilliantly, they do that. Go to Dindigal and you'll get a booklet which is written in English and Hindi, which is given to when the man died. And when is the booklet given? When that fire is being lit, and when the woman is in a completely different emotional status. The army does that. The army gives them complete packages. They give them the forms. The forms are full of jargon. If I had started this talk by saying that I am trying to help out the physical casualties of NOKs, you wouldn't know what NOK is. You wouldn't know what physical casualty is. I have to explain to you. And you're all civilians. Most of you are civilians, So that wife is also a civilian, And unfortunately, it's not translated into the local language. So that's where all of you can help, Awareness. You listen to me in English. You go and talk to them in Tamil. You talk to them in Marathi. We are a diverse country. We cannot follow, foreign methods. So yes, the army does what it's supposed to do. It gives out all the information. Actually, it's all there on the website in about 15 languages. But the wife or the next of kin is not in a mental state to understand all that. Because it's a lot of jargon. All the benefits are in one place. You don't know what is applicable to you. I mean, and the people who are listening to us, I'm sure many of us would be eligible for some schemes which the Tamil Nadu government gives. We might not be aware, Actually, if you're a lady who's working, you're authorized a loan for a two-wheeler, irrespective of whatever, financial background you are in. Are many of you aware? You might not be aware. So that's the problem. So yes, what you're saying is right. The armed forces gives out all those comprehensive, messages, but unfortunately it doesn't reach them or is not given to them when they require it. They require when the child is in 10th standard. But the man died when the child was in 4th standard.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Certainly. And there is a question from Namaswayam. He's an entrepreneur as well. And he asks, the youth today in the country are more wide open to such ideas, have access to information. How can we engage them in providing support to the project?
Oh, the youth are the greatest asset. I've used the youth everywhere. Like I gave you the 4 examples. You can be a volunteer. You can spread awareness. You use your social media to raise awareness. Reach out in your own village. If you let's say every year you go to your own village. I don't know where the audience is from. Are they all from urban Chennai? But there might be somebody from districts and villages. Or if you go back to your own village every year, go that day and find out நம்ம ஊர்ல யாரெல்லாம் பட்டாளத்துல இருக்காங்க, யாரும் பட்டாளத்துல இருக்கிற போது இறந்து போயினாங்களா, எப்படி இறந்து போனாங்க, இப்படி இறந்து போனாங்களா, எனக்கு ஒரு இவரை தெரியும் சென்னையில, அவர் உங்களுக்கு எல்லாம் கிடைச்சிருக்கா இல்லையா. I hope everybody understands Tamil here. So this is something that you can do. Youth can be in a college and say that there would be somebody who's a son or daughter of a armed forces person who's died like this studying the same college. Instead of just wasting time and looking at the same 6 that MS Dhoni hit in 2011, maybe next time you can just go and talk about where are you from? Is there somebody? Or if you're in NCC, maybe there would be somebody from NCC. You can do so many things. The 4 things that I gave you, be a volunteer, raise awareness. I think the youth can do these 2 things. And of course, financially, you might not have that support as a young person. But yes, if you're successful and you can do that, you can do that.
Yes. And immediately another person, Mr. Rajan PT, the publisher for magazines Kalaimagal and Manjari, has promised that his organization would ensure in their Deepavali Malar, that's their most sold subscription magazine, that they will publish contact details of yours and information on different ways that they can gather help and help reach it to more people.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I knew another PT Rajan who was a publisher, but he was based in Bangalore. Thank you very much. Yeah, Diwali Malar is a very popular this thing. And like I told you, vernacular is important, Hindi is just about 40% of the country. The country is much more diverse. So at least in Tamil Nadu, since the forum is Tamil Nadu Youth Forum, let's spread the news in Tamil. Use all the ways that we can, and Diwali Malar is a good way. Thank you very much. You can get in touch with me. I shall share my contact details. I think we are 2 minutes, so I can take 2 more questions.
Yes. So we have an immediate question from Raja Ramathakrishnan, who spoke about the technology earlier. He says he would like to set up a mentoring network for children, particularly of the next of kin. And how can we connect these kids together?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's important that we set up this mentoring cell. Presently, I'm doing jugaad only. If there's somebody problem, like I have a case in hand where there's somebody who just passed 10 and doesn't have enough marks, but still wants to be an engineer or a doctor, because of the pressure that every mother or father puts, most of the children in South India. And I'm trying to mentor, saying that, I don't think he's got the skills, but I'm not a professional. Yes, we can have a setup, and I'm already doing it, and I will reach out to you, and then maybe we can have a little more organized way where people can reach out. The only issue that I can see from here is that, many of them are very shy to reach out. They don't even want to be identified as next of kin of Indian Army personnel because of social reasons, But yes, definitely I'll take up your offer. So thank you very much. And these are the ideas that I require. And I keep bouncing off these ideas.
So just as a support to that, could we also collect and start maintaining a database? So let them not reach out to us, but every time there is such a casualty that we know of, if we start maintaining the data, could we not necessarily do it the way the army is doing right now?
I'm doing it. I'm maintaining the data. I'm maintaining the data. I'm doing it. That's
Perfect.
What I'm doing.
Nice.
That's what I'm doing, yeah.
And before we close, I think we have to take 2 questions for sure. So one on Dhoni and one on another question generally people throw to people from the defense forces. What do you think of citizens taking up to compulsory armed forces education? Would that help? Would that make us more patriotic? Would that make us more disciplined? Should we bring it at all?
Okay, I'm going to give out my personal views on this. Yeah, it's a great initiative. Logistically, it's going to be very, very difficult for the armed forces. If we can strengthen organizations like the Boy Scouts and Guides and the National Cadet Corps, I think that will be a good idea. First, strengthen those organizations which already exist. Let's not reinvent the wheel, and say that let's do this. And also an exposure to the armed forces in India is going to be difficult because of the nutritional standards. Because the army is the armed forces is a completely different ballgame. It's just not about strength, physical. It's also about mental. It's about camaraderie. Resources will be this thing. Patriotic, yes, of course. The average Indian is patriotic. Let me tell you that. The average Indian is patriotic. We just need to expose them, and especially in South India, I feel that more awareness will automatically lead them to be more aware of what the armed forces do. And sometimes they are not even aware that there is army, navy, and air force. Leave alone patalam. All I say is patalam, and that's good enough. Or military, I say military, and they associate with the military hotel.
Yeah.
So awareness is important. It's a good initiative. The government can pull it off with the logistical issues. It's a great issue, a great opportunity. But then every chap who joins this would expect to try and become a government servant, which is difficult, in a country like India. But yes, good initiative. Let's see. I support it. Yeah.
Yes. So one question on Dhoni, I guess. So there is a lot of information in the public domain about his cricketing life and personal life. But how does he take to being at one of the paramilitary forces? How disciplined is he, the regiment? And how do you see more people who have a public persona like him taking to different military or paramilitary forces, or at least to territorial army or something of that sort?
Oh, great. There's huge opportunity in territorial army. So MS Dhoni, first of all, is an honorary honorary lieutenant colonel. And he is not in the paramilitary, he's in the proper army. He's in the territorial army. He's with the para regiment, which is the parachute regiment. He's doing a wonderful job. He's a born leader. And I think he would have done very well if he was in the armed forces. Cricket is a distraction for him. I think cricket is just a very, very small percentage of his life. And we only, most of us only see him as a cricketer. But since I know him for nearly about 10 odd years, and I've interacted with him and I helped him get commissioned as an honorary commission into the armed forces, I know that cricket is a very, very small percentage in his life. And yes, you can, as a normal civilian, if you're less than age of 42, somebody had asked me this question as youth, and a lot of people, if you're young people, if you're under the age of 42, you can join the Territorial Army, where you have to commit about 2 to 3 months in a year, and it's an amazing opportunity. It's much better than, those compulsory military service that you're talking about. First, join the Territorial Army. You can join us in Territorial Army and experience what armed forces is, and then the respect will go up, and till then, support the armed forces, support their personnel. You see them in a civilian area, you see them on leave, just tell them thank you very much for the service that you've done. And I think that's what they require. They don't require money and things like that. We just require that, yes, somebody acknowledges the services that we do and acknowledges the services that our families go through.
Sir, thanks a lot. Thank you for your time. I think.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm
Yes,
going to
sir.
share my screen so that people can. Yeah, this is my email address, which is theprojectsambandh@gmail.com. This is the website, which basically doesn't have anything. You just got the email address, which is www.projectsambandh.com. And this is my WhatsApp number, which is 877-877-409. When you send a WhatsApp, please be relevant and please identify yourself. If you don't identify yourself, I'm not going to reply to you. And please be relevant to this. What are we talking about? I don't want forwards about Dhoni retiring and how Sushant Singh Rajput played Dhoni's role and things like that. But yes, this is my contact details, and I'll be more than happy to interact with you. And if you're willing to assist in any way, I will connect you with the right kind of people. I have a database of people who already volunteered and try to assist. And thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. I didn't know that it's going to be 1 hour, 6 minutes, and time has flown. Thank you very much, and all those people who have been listening patiently. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir. So, from our end, I think from all the audience as well, a huge salute to you and our pranams to the work that you've done since your retirement. This short session is not sufficient to discuss your interests, likes, and your work. I think we need a separate session to discuss more of your interests outside of Project Sambandh as well, particularly about quizzing and sports and so on. Thank you once again for such a lovely session. Chris, giving us an outlay on how we can support. And from Tamil Nadu Young Thinkers Forum, I think I'll take the privilege stating that all of us will work towards the project, do every little bit that we can to support the cause that you are leading from the front. Thank you, sir, and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much. Jai Hind.